Madagascar's authorities received orders from the president. Shoot at those who criticise the government. An aggressive show of force from the police, facing continued resolve from protesters.
Nous n'avons pas du tout d'armes. Nous essayons de nous protéger avec les pierres par rapport qu'ils nous lancent des lacrymogènes.
But the country's elite army unit, CAPSAT, refused to take part. As they rolled onto the streets, jubilation and relief from the masses.
On ressent de la libération. Nous avons trop souffert pendant des années. Ce que nous avons vécu ici à Madagascar, ce n'est pas tout simplement quelque chose que tout être humain doit vivre.
The army greeting civilians with handshakes and fist bumps as they piled into May 13 Square on Saturday, a symbolic place of protest, closed off since frustration erupted in the capital 3 weeks ago over water and power cuts.
This was Madagascar's capital, Antananarivo, at the peak of the Gen Z protests in September 2025. Protesters attacked homes of prominent politicians. They threw projectiles, burnt tires, and set up barricades. Authorities responded with tear gas, rubber bullets, arrests, and dusk to dawn curfew. At least 22 people were killed in clashes between protesters and the security forces.
Give the people water, give the people electricity. The people are suffering too much. You in high places take advantage of your power. The people are suffering too much. The people are suffering too much.
We no longer have any protectors.
The protest lasted for weeks. Soon the demand of the protesters in this former French colony broadened beyond access to basic amenities. They wanted reform, accountability, and an end to corruption. They wanted the government dissolved and President Andry Rajoelina to resign.
My frustration and that of all Malagasy people is about power cuts, water cuts, and above all, confiscation of rights and power by a certain segment of the population, while 90% of the Malagasy people are mired in poverty.
In 12 years, no one has ever listened to us, which is why we are now insisting on the president's departure and not on dialogue.
Ladies and gentlemen, since his election to the presidency of the Republic of Madagascar, Mr. Andry Rajoelina has multiplied actions likely to compromise the dignity and neutrality attached to the presidential office. He has engaged in activities incompatible with his other functions and made personal use of public resources for the private benefit of his supporters. In application of Article 40.1 of the Constitution, the National Assembly, meeting in extraordinary session, shall pronounce the permanent dismissal of the President of the Republic due to his manifest incompatibilities and conflicts of interest activities of a nature to harm the dignity of the nation and national unity.
Protesters celebrated his impeachment. They danced and sang on the streets.
It feels like we have just been released from prison. We know very well all the harm he has done. I'm truly relieved that Andry Rajoelina is no longer in power. This is also a message to his successor. Learn from this and don't make the same mistakes.
We made the decision because, as I've explained several times, nothing is working in Madagascar. There is no president of the Senate, no government, nothing is working. So we have to take responsibility. That's it. We took responsibility yesterday when we made that declaration. Afterwards, the HCC issued its own statement. Once the HCC made its decision, we are people of the law. We follow what is legal. What the HCC did is lawful. It's true that it doesn't correspond to what we wanted to do or to what Gen Z expected, but that's the law, and we will all abide by it.
When a country fails, it does not happen overnight. It happened slowly, silently. A small crack spread across its foundation, and one day, everything gives way. That is what happened in Madagascar. In October 2025, after weeks of protests, the government collapsed. The streets were filled with young people, frustrated, jobless, and angry at years of power cuts, water shortages, and empty promises. The president fled, the army took control, and the world barely noticed. But we should notice, because what failed in Madagascar is not unique to Africa. It is a mirror reflecting what can happen anywhere when trust in government disappears and when technology that could prevent corruption is never used. The coup was just the symptom. The disease runs deeper. For years, corruption hollowed out the state. Budgets vanished into private pockets. Contracts went to friends. Civil servants got paid who didn't even exist. And the people who paid the price, had no way to verify the truth. Infrastructure broke down. Electricity reached only a third of the country. Water stopped flowing, and the roads turned to mud. The national utility, drowning in debt, became a symbol of everything that was wrong. Poverty spread. Madagascar has precious resources, vanilla, sapphires, and fertile land. But yet, most citizens live on less than $2 a day, because the wealth goes upwards, not outwards. Foreign aid kept flowing in, but without transparency, even the aid fed corruption. And when political chaos hit, donors froze the money, which worsened the crisis. By the time the youth took to the streets, it was not about politics anymore. It was about survival. What truly failed Madagascar was not just leadership. It was the architecture of trust. Every record, every budget, every payment could be edited, hidden, or deleted. And when information is hidden, corruption becomes inevitable. This is the same weakness that many countries still have today. Governments collect money, they spend money and report numbers that no one can independently verify. We trust, but we cannot check. That's not real accountability. It didn't have to be this way. Imagine if every transaction, every contract, every government payment were recorded on a public, immutable ledger, visible to all, changeable by none. Imagine if aid money could be traced from the donor to the village. If public workers were paid only when proof of work was verified on chain. If citizens could pay their bills or receive wages directly without middlemen or corruption. That is what Bitcoin Satoshi Vision or BitcoinSV, BSV, makes possible. BitcoinSV is not about speculation. It is not a casino coin. It is a technology, a scalable, transparent, global ledger that can record every transaction, every piece of data for fractions of a cent. It is the original design of Bitcoin, restored to do what it was meant to do, to be honest money and an honest data system. With BSV, the government of Madagascar could have made its finances publicly auditable in real time. Utilities could have used smart meters that logged every kilowatt and every payment automatically. Foreign donors could have seen exactly where their funds went. And every citizen Every local business, every mom and pop store could have joined the digital economy if they had access to BSV that would give them instant and almost free payment method. And that is what was missing. A public ledger that enforces honesty. A system that makes truth automatic. Some might say that that's the problem for people in Madagascar. But it is not. Because the same vulnerabilities exist everywhere. Everywhere governments are spending more than they earn. Everywhere people are losing trust in official numbers. And everywhere we depend on systems that require blind faith rather than proof. Technology has given us perfect tools for propaganda, but almost none for verification. And that imbalance is dangerous. If our societies do not anchor truth in something beyond politics, we will all drift toward the same kind of instability. Every national collapse teaches the same lesson, that without transparency, everything eventually breaks. Madagascar's young protesters were not just demanding jobs. They were demanding a system that works, where money goes where it is meant to go, where effort is rewarded, and where leaders cannot hide what they do. That is what BitcoinSV can help build. Not by replacing governments, but by making them honest. Not by destroying institutions, but by giving them an incorruptible memory. Not by dividing people, but by giving them a shared truth. And this technology already exists. The question is whether we will use it before more countries fail. If even one nation were to build its public systems on BitcoinSV, if it made its finances, its aid, and its governance transparent by design, it could leap ahead of the world. It could skip decades of decay and distrust. Madagascar's tragedy does not have to be repeated. It can be the warning that saves others. If we want governments that truly serve their people, if we want aid that truly reaches the poor, and if we want truth that no one can erase, then we need to build it on a system that makes lying impossible. That is BitcoinSV. And the time to use it is not someday, it is now. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end. If you like what we are doing here at BSV Search, then please consider tipping us in BSVs and like the video and subscribe to our channel, share the video with others. And if you've got thoughts or comments, comment down below. If you like the idea of the real Bitcoin, of everyone having access to a way in which we can all transact cheaply and quickly with anyone, anywhere in the world, then you can help grow the BSV economy. If you're in business, small or large, regardless your size, you can offer to get paid in exchange for your products or services in BSVs. And you can list your business, your goods, and your services at bsvsearch.com so that others who are also looking for people to trade in BSVs will be able to find you. This is our second chance to get Bitcoin right. So until next time, this is Marquez from bsvsearch.com. Cheers. Bye-bye.